Standard, Episode 1, presented by the CTS Interview Room. We are the all-star lineup that brings the all-star lineup every week. All SEC linebacker Marvin Constant, comedy icon Steve Brown, senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, Mr. Stephen M. Smith, and I am the over-the-hill powerlifter and Bama grad Justin Riley. Y'all make sure and follow us on the CTS Interview Room on YouTube, Facebook, and also follow the Bama Standard on Twitter. That's at the Bama Standard. Fellas, we've made it. Man, new place, new network, new everything. What's going on?
Y'all went and got fancy on me, man.
I mean, look at that intro. Man, it makes you want to strap up again, don't it?
Yeah, y'all went and got fancy on me, man. Hey, it's a pleasure. Another Tuesday night, man. I'm looking forward to this. Definitely, it's been a change of venue. But, you know, change can be a good thing in life. And I'm definitely looking forward to what's coming with this change. And I think everybody who watches us on a weekly basis is going to love the change. They're going to love what we're bringing. And they're going to love how this goes. You know, we got fan interaction coming with this as well. We got the chat. So you guys can ask what you want to ask. You can be fully involved in the show. Whatever you want to ask. Well, not whatever you want to ask. Keep it PG. We don't. All right. Looking forward
Absolutely. To this. Yeah, hey, you notice how I had to throw in that little powerlifting clip. You know, I have all these athletes, man. I had to put my little spin on it, so I had to make sure to include that.
Yes. Well, you know, I want to thank, you know, Joseph and the man himself. You know, he's making all this possible for us. So again, thank you, Joseph. He's the man behind the scenes with all this. He's going to be with us every week, guys, making sure that we're delivering the best product we can to our viewers. So thank you, Joseph, for that. He is the bear of our show. If you watch College Game Day, how they got the bear, we got Joseph, baby. Let's do this.
Hey, occasionally he might send me a couple of Auburn jokes to tell. So I might have to include that, Marvin. I know how much you love that. Mr. Stephen M. Smith, glad to have you on episode number 1. How you feeling, brother?
Man, I should have had my old high school clips up there. Man, I should have had my old high school clips of me at wide receiver doing that Heisman pose one time.
You know, but Steve, I got a question for you. Why am I looking at my phone at 5 a.m. and you giving updates about Bama's quarterback? You see my response. I said, do you sleep, man? It's 5 o'clock in the morning and you sending updates on Paul Tyson. Come on, man.
Bruh, the grind never ends in this business, man. I'm going to tell you something.
But who's watching your post at 5 a.m. to eat 5 a.m.
Who's watching? Hey. Marvin, I don't know. Before my grandma passed away, she would always say, sweetie, a closed mouth never get fed. Keep eating.
I got it, man. So you was reaching the breakfast cloud and those who were just leaving the club. Make sure they all know what's going on.
That's right. Always in the know. Well, guys, I'm excited because we have a big night tonight. You know, every week we're bringing on legends, and we're bringing on legends on the field, but also legends who are now coaches. So I'm really excited about what we have to bring you. Marvin, if you would, please introduce our guest.
Well, our first guest, he's actually finishing up a team meeting right now, and he'll be with us as soon as he's done. But when I say, man, I couldn't be more proud of this man. I was best friends with his brother since middle school, since 6th grade. So I got to see the evolution of him from, you know, when he was a freshman in high school, sophomore in high school, you know, games with interceptions, to getting recruited, to going to Alabama, to actually playing with him for 1 year in high school, then playing with him at Alabama, and then seeing his progression throughout as he moved through the coaching ranks, spent time at Ole Miss, spent time at a few other places. Now he's currently the defensive back coach at Indiana University. Man, when I say I couldn't be more proud of Jason Jones, ladies and gentlemen, and I can't wait for him to join us. Our second guest, another guy that I got to spend time with at Alabama. We talked about him briefly a couple of weeks ago, and guys talked about how hard he practiced. He went out every day and gave it everything he had. And clearly he's transitioned into coaching, and he gave coaching that same philosophy of giving it everything he had the same way he did in practice. He is the running back coach from the University of Notre Dame, Mr. Lance Taylor.
What's up, guys? Thank y'all for having me.
Man.
Pleasure.
I appreciate it. I'm excited. I feel honored. I get to try out the new name, the new platform, new website. So no better, no better to start with, so you won't get as many website hits. We can work out the kinks tonight while we have a limited audience, and Jason Jones will bring the real audience when he logs in.
Well, I'll tell you this, the audience might be limited because of the change, but it won't be limited for long. And part of our growth is the fact that we've had such amazing shows with such amazing guests, and having you guys on as our first guest, that was strategic as well, because we had a long list of people who we wanted to do this first show with. So, and it actually worked out well. So with what happened last week and we were able to move you guys back, it actually worked to our benefit. It was like, okay, that's what we wanted to do anyway. So man, we couldn't have asked for a better guest for this first show. So with that, Justin, let's do this.
Man, I'm excited. Man, this is great. Lance, first of all, I'm excited to have you on. You and I briefly talked about this the other day. I knew you a little well while we were at Alabama through Calvary Baptist Church, FCA, then through Alan Holly, Richard Randolph, and occasionally with Shamari Buchanan. And man, I always enjoyed being around you, the energy you brought, and then what you stood for. So it's really cool to reconnect. And this show is about reconnecting. So we're very excited to have you, and we're really excited to share your story, brother.
Well, thank you guys for having me. All jokes aside, I am honored to be on and reconnect with you guys, spend some time with you tonight, and share some stories and some moments that we've all gone through together. But especially, Marvin, growing up, watching you as you were an older guy at Bama, kind of showing me the way, showing us the way, showing what leadership, hard work, toughness, perseverance, all those things, just watching how you modeled those things day to day. Really has given inspiration to me and so many guys who looked up to you. And so thank you guys. I'm excited.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, Lance, first of all, talk to us about your path to Alabama. You came on as a walk-on. What did you feel like about your story that sold the coaching staff on who you were?
Yeah, so my path to Alabama was pretty simple. I mean, growing up in Mobile, or right outside, my dad having played there in the 70s under Coach Bryant, and winning national championships and being on some great teams. Me always, idolizing Alabama football. To me, there was nowhere else I wanted to go. And so it truly was an honor for me to be able to walk on, and it was a dream to be able to run out of the tunnel with the crimson helmet on and in front of Bryant Denny and our great fan base there. And so for me, every day, was a chance to prove myself. And I felt like, especially as a walk-on, I had to prove myself every single day. And so, I'm just thankful and really blessed that, I was given opportunities and to show what I could do, and also got some opportunities to play in games. And when I got opportunities in practice, I made the most of them and made plays. And when they gave me opportunities in games, I went out and made plays. And so, the thing that I've carried from that time and things that I tell my players and our guys in our locker room even now is take advantage of the opportunities that you have. Be ready for each and every opportunity. I know it's a cliche, but you're evaluated every day in every way. And so I tried to live my life that way. And every day for me was game day. Some days I took it a little bit, over the top, like it was game day. And Marvin and the boys were like, hey, this is Tuesday of LSU week, calm down, young buck. But that's just, that's how I'm wired. I don't, I only know one speed.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Well, that's
So
a good thing. Nobody would ever be mad about that, because honestly, my freshman year, I think I about drove Neil Callaway crazy when they redshirted me because I made it a point to not let them ever get a play off during practice. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I mean that's how you prove yourself every day and really earn your stripes, right? I mean, when you're put on the scout team and you're trying to work your way up, you're getting to go against the best offense or best defense every single day in practice, and the way to get noticed is to make plays against those guys, and eventually they'll get tired of you being a thorn in their side and say, hey, we got to find a way to get this guy off the scout team and get him on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no doubt. Of course, the life of a walk-on isn't easy, but what kind of mentality does it take to make that decision to be a walk-on, especially at a historic university?
Yeah, so I would say a couple of things for me. One, my dad having played, there, he was, always my mentor and the guy that I looked up to, and always gave me, life advice, but also football advice. And I really think that he helped prepare me and set my mindset. Both my parents did, in terms of, what I was getting into when I was walking on. I don't think that I would have known exactly what I was getting myself into as a walk on. A lot of people don't understand how hard it is to, the walk on life, and the things that you have to go through and endure. And, at times you don't even feel like you're part of the team. You're watching the game on TV and you're not making travel squad, and you're, getting the scraps, if even the scraps. And so, my parents both instilled for me a young age, those qualities and my mindset. But also it's just a little bit how I've been wired. I mean, Marvin will tell you, when I came in, as a freshman at Alabama, I mean, I was probably 5'8.5" and, 170 pounds. I've always, I've never been the biggest, the fastest, the strongest. But the one thing that I've always tried to do is outwork my competition, and play with the toughness and passion every single day. So those things really help prepare me. And I was committed once my dream and goal was to go to Bama and play and see it through. And so no matter what happened, no matter, where I was on the depth chart or wasn't on the depth chart, or no matter how many times my number changed or whatever, I mean, I was going to persevere, because that was my dream and goal.
I have a question though.
Yep.
I see the helmet in the background. Where's the Alabama helmet? Is that not allowed?
I got that at home. I'm in the office. I'm in between recruiting Zooms and meetings, so I'm still in the office. That's at home.
That's forbidden at work. We know.
Yeah. No doubt.
I got Danny Thomason, but this is the real LT, Nance, we're talking to right here. So, Nance, I mean,
no doubt.
What was it like working?
Oh, Steven, we lost your audio. Something wrong with your mic. You on that Boost mobile phone again, huh?
Man, no.
Steven, did you pay your minutes?
Who, me?
Steven M.
I
Smith.
did.
Did you pay your minutes, man? Are you on dial up?
Prepaid.
He's got that Cricket Wireless.
Oh, man. Come on, man. Nah, man.
Repeat the question to me. You cut in and out.
Can you
Ladies
hear
and gentlemen. Yeah, we can hear you.
I was saying, what was
Can
it like?
anybody hear me?
The GA for Coach Saban.
It was awesome. Incredible experience. Learned so much just being around his program, being around him, being able to be mentored by him and learn from him every day. I mean, the guy's a machine. I mean, he is truly a machine. Works as hard as anybody that I've ever been around. Very detailed. Knows, he knows X's and O's. He knows offensive, defensive, and special teams football. When you talk about scheme and X's and O's, but he also knows, recruiting, and he knows how to build culture and create, locker room culture, and build organizational an organization that's all working and pulling towards the same goal. So I tell you, it was like getting my master's and doctorate in football from day one. And, I still carry a lot of, the life principles and coaching principles that he taught me even to this day.
Just a moment ago, Mr. Stephen Brown has entered our show. We're blessed to be honored by his presence. Welcome to the show, Steve. Did he pay his minutes too? What's up, Steve? Glad to have you here, sir.
Hey man, I'm just leaving set, man, and I had to get on here, man. I couldn't miss this first real episode. We're growing up now, man. So I'm ready to do this. I'm running lights and everything, trying to get home. So if I'll put it to you like this. I'm kind of like I'm kind of making shortcuts. So I'm kind of like in a racist part of town. So if I get stopped, just know I'm going to have my own civil rights movie.
Hey, don't get Rodney King out there. You ain't in no Hyundai, are you?
Right, yeah. So
let me catch you in a Hyundai, Steve.
Hey, don't do that, Marvin. So just know if I get stopped, and it's gonna be another civil rights movie coming out on Lifetime channel called Steve.
If you get pulled over, only thing you going to jail for is being ashy, lack of lotion. Okay, you'll be fine.
Hey, Stephen H. Why are you laughing so hard? I take your glasses and you won't be able to see the rest of the show.
I got that laser surgery now. Got that laser surgery.
Okay.
So yeah, Lance, this is a little.
I had to join my comrade.
Lance, this is a little bit about what we're about. Like I said yesterday, we're 90% nonsense and 10% actual sports talk. So welcome to our craziness.
Yeah, I love it.
Lance,
I need some comic relief in my life. Good. How are you, Steve?
How you doing? I'm good, man. You need an assistant? You need an assistant coach?
We always need assistants. I need help bad.
All right, cool. Now you
must
hire
not
me.
have seen us in the playoffs.
Now I'm gonna tell you. Now if you hire me, I'm gonna tell them to do everything opposite of you. But I'm a coach with passion. I swear to God, I am.
but they ain't gonna hire you though, Steve, because with social media.
You just bring the juice every day.
With social media, Steve, you can't even get on Instagram with that flip phone. How you gonna recruit? That flip phone, all you can do is text. That ain't gonna cut it right now. See, y'all hear how that phone sound? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. See right there.
No, what it is he's got a part-time gig at McDonald's, so he's taking an order right now while he's doing the show. That's it.
Well, Stephen, to answer your question, I'll take all the help I can get. So come on.
Well, I have a question.
Well, I may not make it. Go ahead, Marvin.
Well, I got a question for you, Lance.
Yeah.
What is it like being the running back coach at Notre Dame? I mean, you're looking at one of the premier institutions in the country. When you mention Alabama, you mention Notre Dame. So to be a coach at either one of these schools.
No, hell. No, you don't. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Well, you got to go. Well, you got to go back to Newt Rockne and all of those times, Steve. Notre Dame is a prestigious football institution. I get it. As a, Alabama, we've been on top for so long that people don't give Notre Dame their just due. Notre Dame has been one of those schools.
Come on, man. No, hell no. Notre Dame ain't been relevant since Rudy. Come on now.
Oh my God. Dude, well, they have been to the playoffs twice, Steve, or once, and then they went to the BCS championship game against Alabama as well in 2013. So you got to give Notre Dame their credit.
I ain't the cable, so I'm going on me.
No, no, you're right, Marvin. We've been to the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years.
Right. So
and they played Bama in the 2012 BCS game. I believe it's 2012.
What is it
right?
like though? Because I know that's a lot of pressure when you coach at one of these schools and coaching on such a high level. What is that even like? Because most people, we will never know.
Well, you know, because you played at Alabama and you
playing
guys
and
have been
coaching is
around the
two
program.
different things though.
It is. There are a lot of expectations and pressure that come with Notre Dame and the gold helmets and, you know, all the history and tradition. I tell you, this is a really cool place. I mean, it really is one of the few places that I've ever been other than Alabama that makes you feel like Alabama when you walk into the building or you walk on, into the stadium, the locker room, you can feel the history and the tradition. You walk past the front doors in our, offices, and, you see all the Heisman trophies, you see all the great, players of past, all the great coaches, the national championship rings, the 4 horsemen. I mean, it goes, on and on. And so that's really, that's been really cool for me being here and being at both programs, program like Alabama and here. It's just been a huge blessing. And, we want to get back, to the college football elite. We feel like we're much closer and closing the gap, but haven't closed it enough. And, our head coach and, all of us inside the program will tell you that. If you just turn on ESPN, they'll tell you that as well, about, how far away we are. But, we had a great year this year, regular, season undefeated, beat Clemson in the regular season. And then, we lost in the ACC championship game, and then obviously to Bama and the playoff game. But, we want to restore, we want to bring a national championship back here for our, guys in that locker room that work so hard every single day, give their blood, sweat, and tears, and also, to our great fan base here at Notre Dame and the Irish Nation.
Well, I have one more question.
Yeah.
What was it like playing in the ACC this year after being an independent for so long? What was that like?
Yeah, it was a really a great experience, and it was awesome for us that we were able to join the ACC, especially us being independent. And when COVID hit, our schedule was a little bit out the window. Our university is unique a little bit because almost all of our major sports are tied in with the ACC and part of the ACC conference. The exception being our hockey team is part of the Big Ten. And we play independent. So we have a relationship with the ACC where we play a certain amount of ACC games, already slated. But one of the things that they've always liked about, Notre Dame football and staying independent is the fact that we can still play a national schedule. We can play our old rivalries of, Stanford and USC every year. We can, pick up Wisconsin or Ohio State, in 2022, we'll play Clemson and Ohio State. And so, it was great for us. It was awesome during this COVID period, but also the guys in the locker room really enjoyed it. It gave them something. It was really neat to see because, for me, having always been a part of a conference, playing for the SEC championship and being trying to strive to win the SEC West and go to the SEC championship. I mean, to win your conference was always really your first goal, right? Your ultimate goal was always to win a national championship, but you always had a goal of winning your conference. And that's something that our guys have never been able to play for. Some people talk about how easy our schedule is or how easy it must be to be independent. I think and I was probably one of those people that said that. Quite honestly, I mean, just honestly, but after being here, I think there are a lot of pressures and a lot of hurdles that you have to overcome when you are independent, because you have no room for error. And, like I said, because we play, Stanford and, USC as traditional rivals, and then usually pick up a Big Ten game and, play our 6 ACC games, it becomes a pretty tough schedule. And you have no room for slip up because, if you have a blemish on the record, you're not going to be able to get into the college football playoff. because you can't go to the conference championship and be able to redeem yourself. So that was really neat being in the conference. That was awesome. We wanted to be able to finish it this year with some hardware in the ACC championship, but didn't finish the way that we started.
Lance,
How hard is it to recruit Notre Dame?
Say that again.
How hard is it to recruit at Notre Dame?
Go ahead. Were you finishing your question, or was that?
That was it. That was it.
Yeah, so I think that there are several hurdles here for us when it comes to recruiting. The biggest being academics, because it's an elite academic institution. Our requirements for getting guys admitted is much higher, and so that really cuts out a lot of recruitable players that when you turn on and look at their film, they're good enough. They're players that you want to recruit talent-wise, but then you look at the transcript and that doesn't match up with what we need to get in school. So that's a huge hurdle. One I've experienced before when I coached at Stanford, just with the academic requirements. And so that is a hurdle. But I also think that, that's also something that we can sell that's different and unique for us. It does eliminate some guys because of their grades, but it also really narrows down the list and lets us know who's driven and motivated not only to succeed on the field but off the field, and in their studies. And so really it becomes something that we take pride in and really try to sell in recruiting in terms of a niche for ourselves and a way to differentiate from our competitors, because we're like most of Alabama, Clemson, like we're nationally recruiting. And so because we nationally recruit and our locker room is made up of guys from all over the country, several players from Hawaii, several players from California and the West Coast. We also have a defensive lineman on our team who's from Germany. Those become things in recruiting that we really take pride in and help differentiate us. And some guys love to hear it and some guys don't. But again, it becomes a self-selecting process where the guys who really want to talk academics and life after football and a degree, those things are important to the guys, and really it helps self-select the guys that we're going to really hone down in and try to recruit.
Lance, I remember very well what you did on the field as a player, and I definitely want to touch on that in just a moment. But if you would, for us Alabama fans, tell us who Lance Taylor is, the coach.
So first of all, the thing that you have to know about me is it's faith, family, football in that order. And I try to keep my priorities in that order and make sure that, I live that every day. My faith is very important to me, always has been. But my family is super important. I want people to say that I'm a great coach and I'm a great teacher and I'm a great motivator and all those things that go with coaching. And I'd love for people, one day to say those things about me, whether they do or they don't. I would much rather people say that, or my kids say that I was a great father, and I'm a great husband, and, and I'm a good person, I'm a good man. And those things are things that really, no matter what your, professional endeavor or career or, dreams are, to me, that should be true for all of us. And so believe me, those are hard. It's hard keeping those priorities in line, especially with as many hours in what we do in our profession at such a high level, and as many hours with recruiting and player development and making sure that we're spending enough time with the guys in our locker room and game planning week to week. And the in-season grind is tough, and sometimes you wonder, hey, am I around? Am I there enough? Am I seeing my kids enough? But that's one thing I've been really thankful and blessed, to work for Coach Kelly. He is an awesome guy to work for, just in terms of working environment, but also family time. He believes in giving us family time. Before COVID, the season before, which was my first season here 2019, I mean, my family, you know, my kids and wife came up to, you know, every single practice in season. You know, they came up, saw the end of practice, kids are running on the field after, and then we would come up and have dinner before we head into meetings. But just those little things are huge for me, Justin, when you talk about, especially in season. I'm getting up, leaving before my kids are out of bed, and when I get home at night, they're in bed. And so, you know, for 4 or 5 days out of the 7, I may not be seeing them at all. And so just those little moments are huge for me. But the things that I pride myself on in coaching are the same things that I tried to bring every single day as a player. You know, energy, passion, intensity, detail. I pride myself on being a great communicator and teacher. I believe those things are important as a coach. And I've tried to take everything that I've learned as a player, and also my experience of all the great coaches that I've been around, great coaches and some not so great coaches, to really model who I am and what I do day to day, and how I am and interact with my players and interact with recruits and their families. I think that's so important. But I really reflect on, you know, really my past experiences, and have tried to take the good and the bad and model the good, but also make sure that I see, you know, and I'm self-aware and say, hey, these are certain things that I don't want to do, and I'm not going to live by, and I'm going to be a man that, you know, has integrity and character, if there's anything else. So that's how I'll try to model myself as a coach.
Well, I'll say this. Most people will never understand what it takes to be a coach. At one point, I thought I wanted to be a coach. And then, you know, just the hours were so demanding. And after giving football so much of my life as a kid, as a teenager, in college, then I got hurt, spent so much time in rehab, so many hours. It was like, I guess I was more burnt out on it than anything else, because when you give so much of your time and energy to something, it can really just eat at you. So it takes a special person to be a coach, because again, like you said, you got game planning, you got recruiting, you still have to address the student athletes that you have under you now, making sure that they're being upstanding citizens and that they're getting what they need to have. You still got to make time for your family. It is so demanding. So, you know, my hat goes off to you and anybody else that does it, man, because it's not for everybody, but for those who are good at it, they are great in life because of what it takes to be successful at it. Not everybody can walk into that role and be great at it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that, and you're exactly right. I don't think I knew exactly what you know, my coaches, you know, went through and how much time they spent in the building. You know, as a player, I thought we were there a bunch, Marvin. You know, right? I mean, we felt like we were there all the time. We felt like we never left. But when I was introduced to coaching and Coach Saban's staff, I mean, you really understand and have a deeper respect for how much time, how much sacrifice there is. And look, there is no off season anymore, whether you're in the NFL, college football. I mean, you know, between recruiting and spring ball, and, you know, like you're talking about, spending time with the players, you know, in your room and on your team, plus, you know, recruiting great players to be on your team. There is no off season. But I appreciate you saying that. It takes a special person to be a coach, but it takes an even more special person to be a coach's wife.
You're very right. And I'll tell you this, Nick Saban is the reason why I don't coach. After that experience, I was like, nope, I cannot spend 10 years of my life doing this. No, I've been through enough mentally after I got hurt. I was like, my mental capacity cannot handle this anymore.
Terry Saban, the MVP. Terry Saban.
No question. All coaches' wives are the MVP. I mean, it takes a strong woman and mother to be able to, you know, keep the household when you're gone. And, you know, my wife does an excellent job with that. She's a Bama grad, roll Tide. So she was on the crew team there.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. Has anybody at Notre Dame ever caught you taking off your shirt to see the Alabama shirt that you wear under your Notre Dame shirts?
No, they know when they cut me, I bleed red. They know I bleed red. it's part of who you are. And, I'm proud of that. And, it's made me who I am. And, I'm thankful for all those experiences. And, other than when we played them and when we play them, I'm cheering and rooting for Bama and B Sci-Fi. And, I want to see those guys do well and succeed. And there's always going to be pride for my alma mater,
But
now,
you know what? Y'all are stretching me thin, man. Because, I was talking to Todd Bates the other day. And, we were talking because, I talk to Todd a lot. And he's like, well, you got to come back up here. So I got to go see him at Clemson. Gerald Dixon, he's director of NFL development. He's at Vandy now. And then Deshae, I talked to Deshae a lot. He's with the Bears. It's like all of you guys are like, y'all going to drive me crazy trying to support different teams that are not Alabama, man.
I got to say this, though. What impressed you about Mac Jones last year?
I didn't get a chance to watch Mac a ton during the year just because, we're playing, they're playing. I would catch the highlights on Sports Center and catch a few bits and pieces of games when we were playing at different times. And I was probably like most casual, fans or people who hadn't really watched him. I really thought, well, he's really just got a ton of, studs around him and playmakers, Devontae, and all the playmakers that he had and they had on that offense. But as we started preparing for him and started watching him more and even in our game, I tell you, I was really impressed. I was impressed with his accuracy. I was impressed with his decision making, and the way he commanded the offense, how he read coverages and knew where the ball was supposed to go. And one of the most impressive things that really, most people won't talk about, but was when they had, shots or play action passes, called and designed to go down the field to Devontae or, Mechie or one of their other great receivers or tight ends or running back, if the coverage didn't dictate or they played deep coverage, he would check the ball down and get it to the back. And, he knew when to take the shot, when not to. And so I was really impressed with just how he handled the game, and really his accuracy showed up. I mean, the more I watched him, he had some really, he dropped some dimes.
Yes, he did.
Lance, I do want to get back to your playing day, but real quick, you've had an opportunity to coach Christian McCaffrey and then Bryce Love, and you saw Najee Harris live and in person. Where would you rank Najee compared to those guys I just mentioned and some of the other guys you've seen?
Yeah, so Najee is completely different than Christian or Bryce and a lot of some of the guys that I've been around. I mean, he is an exceptional player. I was actually at Stanford when he was coming out of high school, and he was there from right down the road from Stanford at Antioch, and we recruited him for a minute or two, and then we realized that we weren't in that race. But he's been a great player from the minute I saw him in high school, and it was even more impressive how much he's grown, how much his skill set has grown, and it's an attribute to his work habits and Coach Saban and their staff, how well they develop players on a consistent basis year in and year out, and he was another product of it. But I mean, when he hurdled our DB on the sideline, I was standing right there for front row view of it. And the guy that he hurdled, the DB that he hurdled was, he's a 6 foot corner, not small by any means, and he didn't even try to go low and tackle him. I mean, he tried to stay up, and Najee still hurdled him. And so that was impressive. But again, he impressed me multiple ways. One, in how he's grown, how he's developed as a player, but just his size, strength. He's got a great combination of tools, because I mean, he's got the whole arsenal, because he's big, he's strong, but he's fast. He's quick, the change of direction, short area quickness. He can make you miss. He can run around you. He can run by you, or he can run through you. And that's a pretty special skill set. And he's up there with those those guys that I've coached and been around. Christian McCaffrey, Bryce Love, LaDainian Tomlinson, Steve Smith, and I know Steve wasn't a running back, but some of the great players that I've been fortunate enough to be around, at the collegiate and pro level. But I look forward to watching him. He's going to have a great, tremendous career, and some team's going to be lucky to get him.
No doubt. Real quick, speaking of your past experiences, you actually have one of your former teammates who's got a question right now. That's
Okay.
Mr. Hamid Haq. He says, Lance,
I can't wait for this question. I should probably log off now.
He actually touched on this a couple of weeks ago, but I want to hear it from you. So he wants you to tell us about the time that your arm was in a cast and everyone was testing you.
That's you know what? I'm not quite sure I remember that experience. I don't know if I tried to club somebody with my cast or not. That would not surprise me. I probably gotten more scuffles in practice than I care to remember or want to remember. Maybe he can tell him to enlighten me, remind me. I'm sure I used it as a weapon.
Yeah, actually you did. I believe that Hamid was trying to take advantage of you with that and decided to commit a pass interference against you. And then he said the next thing he remembers was you clubbing him in the head, and he woke up later.
Yeah, that sounds like me. Hamid is great friend, great teammate, love him to death. But he and I had some epic battles, on the field. We would go at each other, on the field and in the locker room. Verbally, we would go at each other. But Hamid was awesome. Another walk on, a guy who worked his way from the bottom, and one of the hardest workers I've ever been around, and really talented athlete. He was a really talented athlete and played for us, and he was a guy who we like to go at it in practice and make each other better.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is head coaching in your future? Is that a desire of yours?
Great question. Yes, it is a goal and desire. I want to be a head coach. That was one reason why, as my wife and I talked about, goals and where we wanted to be in 3, 5, 10 years. Kind of trying to lay out that plan. That was one of the reasons why we decided we really wanted to get back in college football and leave the NFL. Was because I do want to be a head coach. I have aspirations to be a head coach one day, and lead a program. And we'll see if what the Lord has in store and in the plans. I'll say this: I'm not in any hurry. I'm 39. I'll be 40 in July. And head coaches seem to be getting younger and younger and younger. But I really feel like every experience that I've had, every place that I've been, I've grown. I'm continuing to grow and prepare myself for that. But I would like an opportunity someday to lead a program. And I just love college football. The passion, the rivalries, I just think college football is special. And I also love the relationships that you build in college football. One, with the players that you have 3, 4, 5 years while they're a player in the program, but also the time that you spend with them in recruiting and getting to know them and their families. And some of those relationships are lifelong relationships. I mean, I still Bryce Love's dad and Christian McCaffrey's family still reach out to me and my wife, and we've spent so much time with them and their families and getting to know them, and not just as a player, but as a person. And you go through growing pains with them, and going from a high school young man to adulthood and being on your own for the first time. And so those are the things that I love about college football and what I'm passionate about. I mean, one of the reasons why I got into coaching was because of the impact that you can have, and being in a young man's life, when he's looking for direction and trying to figure life out, trying to figure out what he wants to be, what he's going to do. And hopefully what we do on a day-to-day basis helps guys like, you and I, Marvin, as we went through it. I mean, we're the men we are today, the husbands we are, the fathers we are, because of, great coaches in our lives, great mentors, father figures, parents. I mean, those guys who invested in our lives. And to me, that's really what it's really about, and the ultimate goal. I mean,
yeah, but the Jets can use all the help they can get, though.
I've been in New York for 3 years, and it was a great 3 years with Rex Ryan. But I don't want those problems of an NFL head coach. I don't want those problems.
I don't think anybody wants to work for the Jets, period, at this point. That is a dumpster fire.
But Lance, would it be harder to coach in the NFL in your mind? Would the NFL be harder for you?
It wasn't harder. I think it's different. The relationships are different. You're more of a manager. They look at it like a job. You look at it like a job, especially when you've been there a couple of years and see the business side of it. They see the business side of it really, really quickly. And so it becomes a business really quickly. And those relationships don't really become long-lasting relationships where, you get to invest in people. They become business relationships. And, you really become a manager of people instead of, to me, a coach and a mentor. And it was great. I loved coaching in the NFL. I mean, I did it. You're coaching at the highest level. There's some, was fortunate enough to be, in some really good organizations and be around some great coaches. And I tell you, the locker room in the NFL is great too, when you have the right guys in the locker room. I mean, when you got great guys in the locker room, and the culture is great. You got, leadership in that locker room. It's special, but that's also hard to find and hard to sustain. And you're also talking about, you want to talk about, the pressures of, coaching or playing at Notre Dame or coaching or playing at Alabama. It's a completely different level when you get, when now it's a business and everybody's got money invested and money in the pie, so to speak. So you have all those different things pulling on everybody, whether it's the owner, whether it's the coaches, whether it's, the players you're trying to coach. I mean, I can remember walking into my receiver meeting room in Carolina, and one of our, top receivers, won't say his name, but I mean, he was in a mood, and it wasn't a good mood. And he was draining the whole room. And so finally we broke the meeting, and I said, hey man, what's going on? You got some family problems? You got something going on at home, off the field? Like what? And he was upset because somebody messaged him on Twitter, and they weren't happy about their fantasy football team. So, and the points he wasn't scoring. So, I mean,
Wow.
but that I mean, they hear it from all sides, and so it seems like crazy, but those guys get beat up, in a bunch of different ways.
So, what do your guys think about not being included in the new NCAA game?
Well, I don't know. That article just came out. We're learning more about it as we go. Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. I'm sorry. One second.
Marvin, was that you who was disappointed in his fantasy points?
No, it wasn't me. I don't play fantasy, man. Hey, it takes too much time. I don't have enough time to be playing fantasy football. I've already got 10,000 things I have to do every day. Playing fantasy football, my schedule doesn't allow for that. Do you understand? I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and I don't usually go to sleep till midnight some nights because I'm working on different things, all these different projects I'm involved with.
I know.
Fantasy football will never be on my plate. If I got to do research on one more thing, I'm not doing it.
I hear you, brother. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I'm sorry. I had to switch over for recruiting call real quick. But to answer your question, Marvin, I really haven't talked to our guys about it yet. It'll be interesting to hear what their side of it. As I read more articles and talked to our AD and our head coach, his biggest thing, our AD's biggest thing, and the stance on it was he didn't want to sign an agreement with, you know, EA Sports and basically give away the players' rights. You know, we're in this big movement in college football that's going to legislation soon with the name, image, likeness bill that they're proposing for student athletes to be able to make money off of their name, image, and likeness, and be able to start earning money. And his biggest thing was he didn't want to sign an agreement with EA Sports, and then them pass the NIL bill, and our players, current or future, not be able to make money off of, you know, themselves in a video game. So I actually thought, you know, as the headline popped across, you know, it was kind of eye popping, and I was like, you know, I had to read it to even know what was going on. But as I read it and then talked to our head coach and AD more, and he explained it to us more, I think it's awesome. I think it's commendable. You know, really having our student athletes first and at the front. And he's, you know, we at Notre Dame and our head coach and AD have been awesome and really at the forefront of talks amongst, you know, other college programs in terms of trying to get our guys as much as they can possibly get when it comes to, you know, earnings and making money off of, you know, their jersey sales or autographs or video games or, you know, and endorsements.
You know, we're getting close to the end of our show, but Lance, I can't leave without asking you to go through that famous play that you made against Oklahoma back in 2002 with the block punt and the score. Would you mind giving us that from your perspective?
Yeah, so that was you know, one I'll never forget. Coach Mark Terminal was our special teams coordinator, and he came in at the beginning of the week, and I was one of those guys that, you know, on special teams kind of found my niche, especially early on, and found ways to make plays and, you know, block punts and get to the ball. And so he came in early that week, and he had a couple of, you know, schemes designed to try to get, you know, us a couple of free hitters to block a punt. The first one early in the game, you know, came free. Les Williams, you know, defensive end, outside linebacker, did a great job. You know, taking two men, taking my guy and pulling him out of the gap, and I shot the gap, was able to shoot through and get a block punt. You know, and that was special. And then we called it again later in the game, and again the same call. It was called for me, and this time they wound up both double teaming me at that point and leaving Les free, and he shot the gap and blocked the punt. And when it came off the ground and bounced right into my hands, and, you know, I saw nothing but green grass and the end zone. So that was a special moment. You know, we first career touchdown, and you know, I'll never forget that. But as I said, you know, Les and the other guys up front were the ones who helped get me free the first time, and then Les blocked the second one. I got all the credit because of the touchdown, but he did all the dirty work and got the block.
That's awesome. I think Marvin had a question for you before we close out.
Yeah. I can't hear you, Marvin.
Let's see. Marvin, did you mute yourself?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. So my question for you, for Lance, is just, you know, I have a lot of respect for Ian Book. Where did you see Ian grow this season?
Yeah, I tell you what, I've got a ton of respect for Ian as a player and as a person. You know, I thought, I mean, look, to be the winningest quarterback in Notre Dame history tells you a lot, right? I mean, when you talk about the great quarterbacks and the great players who've played here, for him to be the all-time winningest quarterback in Notre Dame history, speaks volumes. But I appreciate it as much as anything. Not only who he was on game day, but who he was, Sunday through Friday. He was the same guy every single day. He worked his tail off on the field and in the film room, and really just humble, hardworking guy. I'm excited for him. He had a great Senior Bowl down in Mobile. And I think he's really going to impress scouts the more that they dig and watch him, when they see his athleticism, plus when they get him on the board and see how smart of a football player he is, how well he diagnoses defenses, knows schemes, and as much as anything, Ian was our point guard. I mean, very similar to what we talked about with Mac Jones before. He did a great job, not turning the ball over, getting us in and out of the right plays, out of the wrong plays, but also knowing where the ball was supposed to go to. And he's sneaky athletic. I mean, way more athletic, and able to hurt you with his feet and running the football than you think. He was a dynamic runner and really was able to extend plays, make yards when there wasn't anything there in the pass game, or extend plays in the pocket and still be able to push it downfield. So I'm excited for him, his opportunity in the NFL, and I think he'll be awesome. Whoever gets him, and I'll be a big Ian Book fan no matter where he goes. My son who's 6, Jet, Ian Book is his idol. It was Christian McCaffrey. Don't tell McCaffrey, but he was all about McCaffrey, and when we were in Carolina and in Stanford, and he was all about Christian. But he got here and he fell in love with Ian Book, and 2 years ago on Halloween, he dressed up in the 12 Notre Dame jersey and the gold helmet, and he put on the eye black and modeled Ian Book.
That's awesome, man. It's good to hear that. All right, guys.
Well, guys, I hate to run. I really appreciate you guys having me on. I've got a recruiting call here. I'm going to jump on, but I really appreciate the time that you guys have spent. It was an honor to be on. I don't know, Jason stood us up. I don't know what happened with Jason Jones, but I hate that I missed him. Marvin, thank you for who you are and what you've done. I always looked up to you as a player. How you persevered. To me, I'll never forget the LSU game when you made the goal line stand. I mean, to me, that was what it was all about. There was nothing better or cooler than seeing somebody lay it on the line, and stop that goal line stand for us to win the game. And then everything that you battled through with injuries, you never changed who you were as a person. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. It's an honor to call you a brother and a teammate, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Man, absolute honor, Lance. Thank you so much for coming on again. We loved hearing everything you had to say, and going through your career. True blessing, brother. Thank you again.
Thanks, guys. Go Irish and roll Tide.
Yes, sir. All right. Since Marvin's audio has not come back, I'll go ahead and just close this out. First of all, guys, got to mention Marvin's book, Physical and Mental Fitness at 40 Plus. If you would check out Marvin's Instagram at Constant45 for details on how you can order that. Also go through his pictures on there for testimonials on how it's changed so many people's lives. Guys, I'm telling you, you want to check this out, especially if you're 40 and over. This is the time for you to make a change, and change is real, and he's proven it every day with this book. So definitely check it out. Real quick, we want to make an announcement for next week's show. It's a big deal. Hey, right now, Alabama men's basketball is the hottest team in the land without question. So what we're going to do, we're going to celebrate next week with some big guests. Matter of fact, the last time Alabama was doing this well, these young men were helping us get there, making tournament runs, setting records. Oh, I'm excited. We're going to have Antoine Petway. We're going to have Rod Brazard, Mr. Kennedy, Winston. So, guys, if you're Bama Hoops fans, you need to join us next week. Before I close out, real quick, if you want to follow Martin, follow him at Constant45 on Instagram, at Constant451 on Twitter. Stephen N. Smith, how can folks get in contact with you, and what's up next for you, brother?
M. Smith on Twitter. That's at Smith. And we got the show, my own words, days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 p.m. on YouTube, Touchdown Alabama.
Awesome. Great show, guys. Had a lot of fun. Not too bad for a first show. I got a feeling it's going to set some records, but really excited for what we have next week. And everybody in the audience, please follow us on all of our social media platforms and definitely hit us up on the replay. Everyone have a great night and roll tide.